welcome to this next video lecture, and we are proceeding further to the unit number 3, and title is the sub point is that impact of social structure on human behavior. And this is the first part. We have already discussed about this. Let me remind or let me revise some part of that part of this part 1, that is the impact of social structure on human behavior. Okay, actually I have prepared two presentations, and this is the first presentation that is already given to you. So in this first part of the impact of social structure and human behavior, we have discussed the different concepts, different terms like social structure, social interaction, statuses, roles. Again, what are the different institutions, social institutions that we have already studied. Again, we have studied that there are two types of statuses, that is ascribed status and achieved status, and two types of roles, that is expectations and performance. Okay, and these things, while studying these things, we learn that as a human being we have different statuses in our society, and according to the statuses we play different roles. Okay, these things we have already studied in this presentation. And right now in the second, again we have discussed what is the social structures. So that social structure is made up of statuses and roles. Okay, and a status is a position in a social structure. Okay, a status is a position in a social structure, and the role is how we generally expect members of a statuses to behave. Means I have a status, my status or your status in your society is different. Okay, and according to the status we try to behave in the society. We try to behave in the society means actually we play that role according to that status that we have in the society. So statuses and roles exist independently of their incumbents or occupants. Okay, so these things we have already discussed. Again, in this in this current video lecture, we are going to study the part which was left behind or which was dependent on the previous video lecture. So those contents are here: society and social institutions. So we know that society is a institution, is a group, or is a team where all people come together and play different roles. They live together and they play different roles, or they fulfill their needs by their mutual understanding. Okay, so that is called here society. Again, here another definition is given about the society, that is society is the totality of people and social relations in a given geographical space. Yes, it is a society is a geographical space where we live happily. We try to establish peace and happiness in that geographical space by fulfilling each other's needs. So societies, unlike groups, are self-sufficient. Societies are self-sufficient, and no group, no matter how large, qualifies as a society unless it provides the resources to answer all of its members, that is basic needs. Okay, and social institution, another term is that social institutions. So an institution is an accepted and persistent constellation of statuses, roles, values, norms that respond to important societal needs. For example, you may take example of institution, that is educational institution. It is also a social institution. Now statuses, roles, values and norms, these things are applicable to educational institute also. Okay, statuses, roles, values and norms. Now our education institution has norms. Our education institution has different roles, statuses and values. Okay, and they fulfill societal needs of giving and taking the education. So the family is also a social institution. Okay, family, then education institution, again religion, these are the social institutions. Law. Okay, so how it is, how these are social institutions, what are their roles, we may study in forthcoming slides. So here see, here explanation is given about one institution, that is family. So in family, we have different statuses. For example, mother, father, son, and daughter. And what are the role expectations? See here, example is given. Wives and husbands must be sexually faithful to one another. These are the role expectations of both the parties, that is wives and husbands. Then values. What is the value of family? The values of family are: we all for one and one for all, means we live together, okay, and while living together we fulfill each other's needs. But in basic human rights, we study that somehow some people fetch others rights, or some people give others rights, but some people are not given rights, basic human rights, and that's why violation of human rights is happened, or malpractices are happened, because lack of education or lack of knowledge of basic human rights. The norms. What are the norms of family? That is to help one another, okay. Again, children treat parents with respect. This is the norm of a family. And parents also treat children equally, okay. So these are the, again, this in this uh, table you may observe what are the basic needs and social institution. Basic needs means societal needs are fulfilled by different social institutions. See here, societal needs have continual supply of new members, okay. Means we may fulfill one need and again another need is emerged, and that is fulfilled by social members. For example, family, okay. For example, our cloth is one of the needs that is always fulfilled by our family members, okay. Again, uh, see here, socialize new members. This is also another social needs. Socialize new members, and it is done by the family, education, religion, okay. We try to socialize, we try to make human being a social human being, and it is done with the help of social institutions like the family, education, and religion. Then societal needs deal with health and sickness, and this is fulfilled by the medicine. Again, societal needs assigns jobs and tasks, and it is fulfilled by education and labor markets. Means when will you get a job? When you are qualified person, when you take proper education, okay, you become qualified, and then you are applicable for getting the job. Then create knowledge, it is another societal needs. You should create knowledge, you should take knowledge, you should give knowledge, and it is fulfilled by social institutions like science and religion. Then control its members, controlling members, this is fulfilled by law enforcement, judicial system, and religion. Then societal needs defend against enemies. Means one person in the society cannot quarrel, dispute, or attack on other persons, okay. And this is fulfilled by social institutions like government and military. Government tries to establish law and order in the society, okay. Again, societal needs produce and exchange goods, okay. We know this, we know that we it is called a barter system, means give and take. Ancient time this barter system was existed in our society. And what is that barter system? If I have uh, need of a bicycle, or you may say I have a need of food, in proportion that you should give grains, you should give grains to the another person, that is called give and take, that is called a barter system. And produce and exchange goods, this society needs is fulfilled by our economic system. And this is called here basic needs and social institutions which are interdependent. And somehow see here, these are the social needs we somehow fulfill because we are knowledgeable, and we are literate. But some people are not literate, they are illiterate, and they don't know in what way they should fulfill their basic needs. And if these basic needs are not fulfilled, then they they does actions against the society, like killing, murder, and kidnapping. And these actions are against the basic human rights. Okay, if such actions or malpractices are happening in the society, well cultured society, then somehow basic human rights are taken by malpracticed people, or people or of having people having ill will. Okay, so what is the nature of social institutions? Just we observed social institutions, that is family, religion, then education institutions, again economic systems, these all are social institutions. Then what is the nature? So see here, institutions generally unplanned and develop gradually. Okay, means any institution is formed, established. At the initial level it is unplanned, but afterwards it develops gradually. Again, institutions are inherently conservative and change slowly. Then third nature is given here. Societies institutions are interdependent, that is a change in one leads to changes in the others. Yes, for example, any corner of the society, if changes happen there, ultimately that change circulates to other corner of the society. Then the statuses, roles, values, and norms associated with an institution in one society may be very different from those in another society. For example, Indian societies and foreign societies, we do namaste as to greet someone, but in foreign countries they call, or uh, they touch each other, they do shake hand for greeting each other. Okay, so these are the cultural competency, we may say, or cultural, cross cultural communication. Again, if we are social human beings, we live in the society, and while living in the society, socialization is happen, the action of socialization is happen. So what is that socialization? In short, let me tell you that socialization means we are human being, but we are not well cultured, we are not educated. So we become well cultured, we become knowledgeable person when these social institutions provide such kind of education, and that process is called here socialization. So see here, it is this socialization, the process of socialization is lifelong process. So the lifelong process of social interaction through which individuals acquire a self identity and the skills necessary to achieve cultural competency. So in the process of socialization we get self identity. Okay, so what are the agents of socialization? The agents of socialization include, see, the family, schools, mass media, peer groups, and the workplace. And these agents of socialization help us to become a good human being. So next term is that social self. What is that social self? So the relatively organized complex of attitudes, beliefs, values, and behaviors associated with an individual, that is called here social self. Means we are attached with the social norms, social beliefs, attitudes, social values, then behaviors in the society, and these things help us to become a social self, to become a social human being. So what is real? Thomas theorem. Thomas has his own theorem regarding the real. Okay. So if people define situations as real, they are real in their consequences. If we feel that we are real, then it is real. It is fact. So to understand human interactions and relations, sociologists have to understand both reality and the perceived reality. Means social scientists or sociologists always do research, always study about the behavior of human being, always study the behavior of human being as well as its structure. So according to Thomas, there is always a conflict between spontaneous definitions of the situation made by members of society and the definitions which this society provides for him. Okay, again, Irving Goffman, another sociologist, say that there are social roles and the definitions of the situations. Okay, so it has a relation of social roles and definition of the situations. So actually, definition of of the situation is related to the social roles. So let's see what is that. What is Irving Goffman says about the social roles and situations of the society. So we are always performing social roles. He says that we always perform social roles, and social roles are the expectations about the behavior attached to our social status. For example, how we are, that is how we are expected to behave. For example, I am a sarpanch or I am a mukhia. According to that, I have to behave in the society. Suppose I am an IAS officer, I have to perform the roles and duties according to that status or to that designation. So, most effective way to ensure a convincing role performance is to influence the definition of the situation. That is, how things are defined initially will influence enormously people's subsequent behaviors and expectations. Again, he has given the clearance. He has cleared the another team, that is rituals. So he rituals refers to all those simplified, exaggerated, stereotype behaviors that signal or display particular emotions or social statuses in a situation. What is that ritual? I will repeat here. Ritual refers to all those simplified, exaggerated, stereotyped behaviors that signal or display particular emotions or social statuses in a situations. Means we do puja as a devotee. That is our ritual. Okay, according to different religions, we do puja, and the state and the strategy or the technique or style varies according to the rituals, according to the religion, according to our society. Then interaction rituals. Another term is that interaction rituals. Interaction rituals are the institutionalized, frequently unspoken ways of behaving in a society. For example, saying hello is an interactional rituals. Saying goodbye is an interactual rituals. Interactional in rituals means we wave our hands as a tata, saying tata. That is saying a goodbye. Okay. Then play and games. Play and games also help us to become a social human being. But as a child, we have different human behavior, different behaviors. For example, we may take an example of play and games. See, in a play there are no rules. The child makes it up as he or she goes along. Means whatever he thinks, he tries to play as a child. Okay, he doesn't know what are the rules. He spontaneously plays. Okay, games have rules and specific roles. For example, batter, pitcher, catcher, outfielder, all-rounder. These are the specific roles. Then the rules specify how the person in each role participates. Okay, and according to Mead's view, the roles and the rules of games are impersonal. Means person wise it doesn't change. For example, games of cricket doesn't change in India or in Africa or in other countries. So participating in games enhances the ability of children for role taking, to see other people's points of view and to acquire a generalized other. Okay, so next part is that socialization and the self. Okay, that is feral children, means wild children. When we were children, we were wild. We didn't know the rules and norms of the society, but afterwards we developed. So Charles H. Coley, he has developed the new concept, that is looking glass self. The individual internalizes the attitudes of others towards him or her, that is me, and responds or reacts to those attitudes, that is I. So, the self emerges out of social interaction. Selves can only exist in definite relationships to others' selves, and another term is just generalized other. We internalize or anticipate how others will expect us to behave. Okay, and the community and the society in which we live, the collectively shared concessional meaning in a society. So these are the different terms that we are studying here. Again, he says that we imagine how we look to the other person, and we imagine that how the other person's reaction to our appearance. Suppose if you have good appearance, they will react positively or in proper way, otherwise they won't. And in response we have some feelings such as pride or shame. Okay, so such kind of human behavior happen in our society. Again, George Herbert Mead says that uh, we are influenced by pragmatism. It is a school of American philosophy, and it focuses on practical conditions and consequences of action. So what is that self? So self is dynamic interaction between the I and the me, that is subject and object. Okay, suppose I am a person, I am here subject, here I am doing that action. Okay, and that action happens to someone else, that is object. Okay, so the me sees myself as an object, as others see me, and the I is my response to my perception of how I think others see me in this situation. And children are not born with an I and a me. Okay, means children born with me, me as an object, they don't know how to behave, but rather they are influenced. As an object they are influenced, and uh, that object become afterwards subject after the socialization. Again, uh, yes, this is already explained here. Types of influence, see here, our behavior is influenced, and we must know what are the types of influence. Our human behavior is influenced, our human behavior changes in the society because some kind of influences are there. So there are two types of influences, that is unintended influence and intended influence, that includes the power. And intended influence, that includes four objects, that is force, manipulation, persuasion and authority. And again, authority has uh, f- five subparts, that is coercive authority, induced authority, legitimate authority, competent authority and personal authority. And let us explain these things. So before proceeding further, let me clear the definitions of power. So according to Dennis Rong, power is the capacity to intentionally influence others. Means we influence others but intentionally, and that capacity is called here power. And Bertrand Russell says that power is the actual production of intended effects. And Max Weber says that the chance of a man or number of men to realize their own will even against the resistance of others. And these are the several definitions of power. So there are forms of powers as it is explained in this slide. Okay, let us see here. What are the forms of power? Those are force, manipulation, persuasion, authority. Okay, and all forms of power except force must be communicated. Means power should be communicated but not force. Okay, why it is said? See here, force. It is force is applied. Okay, here is also force applied, here is also force applied, and it should not be. So force, treating a human as an object, no, this only refers to the application of force, not to the threat of force. So violence is the ultimate form of force, and assaulting the body to inflict pain, injury, suffering or even death. So that in that sense force is used. Okay, then manipulation or fraud. What is that manipulation? Okay, these several forms of power somehow affects the basic human rights. Here basic human rights are violated, Okay, this is the scene of medieval torture, and this is the image of depiction of slave whipping. Means slaves were whipped, they were punished Okay, then manipulation, it is another kind of power. So any deliberate attempt to influence or elicit a desired response from another person where the desired response is not explicitly communicated to the other person. What we have desired response that is not explicitly communicated to the other person, and that is called here manipulation. Suppose I have invented something, okay, for the betterment of the society, that is my research, but somehow have theft that have taken away or done the malpractices, that is called a manipulation. Doing have done some changes. Okay, so spontaneous informal interaction depends on the shared belief that manipulation isn't taking place. Hmm? Wherever there is manipulation, there is no spontaneity, there is no informal interaction. Again, third point is that persuasion. So persuasion occurs whenever someone agrees with someone else argument or appeals after evaluating them independently in light of his or her own interest. Means we ready to accept the information whatever is shared by other person, that is called here persuasion. And persuasion implies a context of open and free communication with no anticipation of punishments or divorce, that is without any felt need to do what the other wants. Means I persuade you means convincing, it is kind of convincing. And next point is that authority. So authority is successful ordering or forbidding. Authority means is a successful ordering or forbidding, and it is a relationship of command and obedience. Hmm? Again, persuasion. Here, difference is given between persuasion and authority. So, persuasion means tested acceptance, and authority means untested acceptance. Okay. So, there are five types of authority based on motivations for obeying. Means we give order to someone, means we motivate them. Okay, so see here, first type is that caution, that is we give punishment or treat a threat of force. The next type of authority is that induced, that is reward such as money. Next is legitimate, that is rights to command, obligation to obey. Next is competent, based on perceived expertise. And next is the personal authority, that is based on desire to please. See, it is given here personal authority. So personal authority is usually low in extensiveness. Okay, so number of people it influences. For example, a lover who declares your wish is my command, means I am ready to do anything as you wish. That is your personal authority. But charismatic leaders use personal authority to generate mass followings that challenge the traditional order. That is charismatic leaders. And here image is given that of Hitler. Hmm? Mussolini and Hitler are charismatic leaders, but they are taken negatively. These are the examples of negative charismatic leaders. Okay, they generate mass followings that challenge the traditional order, but they followed the massacres. They followed the killings of people. So these people, Mussolini and Hitler, followed the personal authority negatively. Okay, and because of these things, because of such kind of social structure, because of these people, they form particular social structure, and because of such kind of social structure, there are chances of violation of basic human rights. Okay, can you can you think that Mussolini and Hitler has given basic human rights in his time? No. So that is the thing we are discussing here. Basic human rights says that we all are equal, but because of this social human being, because of this behavior of particular human beings, those human rights are not enjoyed properly. Okay, and this is the impact of social structure on human behavior. Okay, so these things we have studied in this today's video lecture. So we will discuss another points in forthcoming videos. Till then, thank you. Let us stop here. Okay, thank you, thanks again.